Buddhist traditions. How Buddhist traditions have implications to ideas on politics or political thought. And for this topic, I watched some videos and read some articles, but I found none of them is even scratching the surface. They don't seem to have any clue to Buddhist implications of political thought. So I am doing it completely differently. So I want you to examine and reflect on the way I do. See, any political system targets happiness of people. Political system is about various arrangements by which people on the whole are happy. Okay. And political system focuses on the role of the state in creating happy people. Okay. So what we are going to do is, what is it that Western liberal democracies attempt this process? Okay. Let us assume a nearly perfect Western liberal democracies. How they attempt to enhance the happiness, and what kind of objections that Buddhist may have to this. Okay. And Buddhist objections clearly come from Buddhist philosophy. Okay. Now, what are assumptions? Western liberal. The assumption is that each man has very clearly an ego, and he has certain desires, desire 1, desire 2, desire 3, like this. And what is assumed is that if these desires are satisfied, then man is happy. So, political system takes ego as given, desires as given and valid, and to the extent desires are realized, man is happy. But the conflict is recognized. Is ego 1 and ego 2. Ego 2 has his own set of desires, D4, D5, D6. He also wants to be happy by maximizing this D4, D5, D6. And So they come into conflict. So E1 and E2 come into conflict. And to handle this conflict, you have law. And to enforce this law, you have state. Okay. So, theories of social contract would say that there is a conflict between individuals, among individuals, and conflict is resolved through law and the state. Okay. Individuals' desires are not judged. They are wrong only to the extent they may come into conflict with others' desires. It is said, your rights end when they impinge on others' rights. So, this is the general model assumed. And next, Western models have legislature, executive, judiciary. Legislature wants to be as much powerful, executive wants to be as much powerful, judiciary wants to be as much powerful. But power of one is checked by the other. This is called checks and balances. So what is assumed of an individual is also assumed of institutions. And then there are rules by which all these three should go together, that is constitution. And finally, this constitution has to be approved by people. This is what is meant by popular sovereignty. Okay. So, it is the it is the people who finally judge by what principles they want to live, and the principles are nothing but avoiding conflict. Okay. So what the people arrive at as the principles are the principles that guide the constitution. Okay. This is the essential arrangement of liberal democracy. Now, let us look at how Buddha would look at these arrangements. First of all, he would say, trying to maximize these desires doesn't contribute to happiness. Not that you should not realize them, but that is not the goal. And he would say, taking this ego as given is also doesn't contribute to happiness. So what he wants a man to be is to look within, meditate, and pursue inner happiness. Inner happiness. Inner happiness does not mean you don't try to change external situation. You may try to change, you will try to change, but one understands that there is a lot in terms of inner happiness. So not that you pursue your ego and desires and you don't pursue only in case of conflict with others. He will say individuals should try to be happily inwards. Okay. And don't think that Buddha would say, unless ego is dissolved, one will not be happy. It is not like that. Happiness is there as you understand more of yourself. Okay, so if the aim of the political system is to make people happy, Buddha would say, try to create people, try to help people pursue this inner happiness. Okay, but this pursuit of inner happiness, of course, requires certain external conditions. And in fact, enlightenment, the ultimate stage, nirvana, is supposed to come from Eightfold Path. Eightfold Path does not automatically lead to nirvana, but it helps. There is no guaranteed way to make it to nirvana, but it helps. So what should a state do? State should create an ambience to pursue this Eightfold Path. An ambience that the people pursue inner happiness. Okay. And Buddha has ideas on what brings that. Okay. Passion control, kindness, love. Okay. So, control over oneself, non-violence, no revenge, like this. Okay. And if you have a conflict with another person, try to change non-violently. And if somebody does wrong, don't hurt as a way to punish, but try to change, like this. In fact, what Gandhi tried in terms of non-violence, forgiveness, non-injury is Buddhist. Okay, then how do you resolve conflict between the countries? Buddha would say, don't promote hatred. Don't take ego so seriously. Ego at a national level will be nationalism, nationalist ego. Don't always think in terms of how your country good and other country bad. This is the wrong way to think. Okay, and this is what Tagore promoted in terms of internationalism. This is again Buddhist. Okay, and then because your desire satisfaction will not lead to happiness unendingly. Of course, Buddha is for satisfaction of minimum needs. He called it middle path. Lead a life of simplicity. Okay, so simple living, meditation and high thinking, that's what Buddha proposed. So simplicity would be a part of economic system, and political system would try to create that. And again, This is what Gandhi tried. Simple living. Okay. So Buddha has certain principles by which humans can be happy, and a political system should create a conducive ambience by which man can pursue his happiness, and that happiness cannot come simply by pursuing power, simply by pursuing wealth, simply by pursuing domination. Buddha would say no to all of them. So, economic system would be different, political system would be different. Okay, and they are interlinked because polity is supposed to establish such an economy. Okay, now one very important question is, democracies depend on people. It is people who give the constitution. So people give this constitution on the basis of their assumption on what makes them happy. But here, Buddha doesn't think people know what makes them truly happy. So, would Buddha create a democratic system? In fact, any state that is based on certain religious ideas have this problem. But we can discuss from Buddhist philosophy how Buddha would like to avoid this problem. Number one, Buddha doesn't say this is the truth and you should follow. You should follow. This is not Buddha's way of communication. Buddha says this is the truth, but try to understand. So Buddha doesn't force. And Buddha also doesn't say, God told me, and so you should listen. Buddha's communication is that what I am saying is logical, clear, and realizable. So follow. And if you are not following, no force. So, what would Buddha say about constitution framed by people? Maybe Buddha would say, yes, that is a decent arrangement to begin with. Okay. But happiness calls for something else. So, Buddha doesn't force. He doesn't say this is God's word. And in this context, we have one very good example from history, that is Ashoka. We can't say Ashoka followed all the implications of Buddhist thought. It is not like that. But Ashoka did certain things which are beyond his times. For example, public welfare. Modern state will believe that the public welfare the king should do because people want it, and that is the nature of the contract. But Ashoka did it as a part of Dhamma. So that is one. But what is important is, what was Ashoka's attitude towards various sects within Buddhism and outside? Ashoka's policy was tolerance. Ashoka did not impose any Buddhist doctrine. Tolerance. So, because Buddha believed that the people should do out of conviction and it should not be forced, so tolerance would be a policy of a political system based on Buddhist principles. And Buddha believed in compassion, non-violence, but can a state do away with violence? No. Ashoka used force, but he says force where necessary. Force where necessary. A rock addict says force where necessary. Okay, but rock addict says that he prefers to change or win by Dhamma. Conquest by Dhamma is preferable to conquest by force. So, Ashoka believes in convincing, transforming, and not punishing. Though he is willing to punish if needed. And what kind of foreign policy Ashoka had? He was spreading Dharma to various countries. He sent his messengers to various countries. So, Ashoka was trying to create a situation where people pursue Dharma. Administration is run according to Dharma. Foreign relations are done according to Dharma. Okay. Of course, we can't talk about simplicity and things like that because the economies at that time are not so advanced. So serious, very excessive consumption and environmental deterioration are recent problems. So Buddhist principle would definitely would ask for simplicity and environmental awareness and pursuit of inner happiness. And a state is supposed to create a society where people pursue this, and which it means that law and order should be there, trade should be there, agriculture should be there, many things which are required for daily living. Okay, so what would be the main difference between, suppose, a perfect liberal democracy, perfect, and it is not majoritarian, it is not violent. Buddha would add that create a condition by which people pursue inner happiness and they don't always try to change external circumstances to be happy, and they don't define happiness in terms of wealth, in terms of power, in terms of desire, but something much more. Thank you.